We begin this hour in Malaysia, where Deputy Prime Minister Ahmed Zahid Hamidi said the authorities must take stern action against the mastermind behind the organizing of the Bersih 4 rally. Mr. Ahmed Zahid, who is also the Home Minister, said the authorities should also monitor the leaders behind the rally. That he noted that among the legal action that could be taken against them are the Peaceful Assembly Act, the Sedition Act, the Penal Code, and Police Act. The rallies against Prime Minister Najib Razak are being held by the protest movement Bersih, which means clean in Malay. Police have declared it illegal, blocking the organizers' website and banning their official yellow t-shirt and logo. Police in Malacca State have arrested 12 people for wearing yellow t-shirts with the printed words Bersih 4. The numbers have dwindled from the tens of thousands who gathered in the capital Kuala Lumpur since yesterday afternoon. The numbers are also down in the East Malaysian states of Sarawak and Sabah. Police said the gathering of some 30,000 demonstrators in the capital had so far been peaceful. The channel NewsAsia Sumisha Naidu has this update on the ground in Kuala Lumpur.
It's day 2 of the Bersih rallies here in Kuala Lumpur. Many of the protesters camped out in Kuala Lumpur overnight in the roads surrounding Dataran Merdeka or Independence Square, where I am standing right now. As you can see, and maybe here behind me, protesters are now listening to speeches. They have music blasting in the background. It's sort of a party atmosphere. People are blowing vuvuzelas and so on. The numbers seem to have dwindled a bit since yesterday, but many are still here and in the surrounding areas, and the numbers are expected to increase as the day progresses. I'm not sure what they plan on doing for the rest of the day, but they say they will be here until just before midnight. Tomorrow is Malaysia's National Day, and Bersih wants to usher in the Independence Day together here right outside the iconic Independence Square.
Authorities say the rally is illegal, but they haven't yet made a move to break up protests. Sumisha tells us why.
Well, there's actually quite heavy police presence here, but they have been keeping their distance from protesters. The protesters are over here, and right across the other side of Independence Square, many policemen are standing there keeping watch, if you can see that right now. But you're right, they haven't intervened. Some expected that the police would step in overnight when the protesters were camping out here outside Dataran Merdeka, but by all reports, the police also kept their distance. It's unclear why they haven't taken action, or whether they plan on taking action after the rally is over, because yes, the government has given pretty clear directives about they have a very clear stand on the Bersih rally being a plot to discredit and topple the government. Even the Bersih 4.0 t-shirts that are yellow and have the words Bersih 4 on them have been deemed illegal, along with any printed material to do with Bersih. And there's definitely a lot of printed material, banners and such with the words Bersih and promoting Bersih in this crowd behind me right here. So, it remains to be seen how police intend on pursuing any legal action, if at all. But the protesters say that they are grateful for police participation, and this has definitely been the most peaceful Bersih rally so far. The past rallies have seen violence break out, intervention from authorities, including the use of tear gas and water cannons. But so far, none of this at this Bersih 4.0 rally in Kuala Lumpur.
Now, previous rallies focused on clean elections. Now, this one demanded a clean government. Protesters are calling for the resignation of Mr. Najib after a $700 million payment was made to his personal bank account from unidentified foreign donors. But the Prime Minister says Bersih's actions are an attempt to discredit the country's image on the international stage, as it comes just before the country's National Day celebrations tomorrow.
Cetek sangat, miskin sangat ke semangat patriotik cinta pada negara. Tak faham ke mereka yang negara kita ini telah terbina atas darah keringat perjuang-perjuang kita yang mati berkorban.
Earlier, I spoke with Dr. Meredith Weiss, an expert on political patterns and processes in Southeast Asia, and she examines how much pressure these rallies would put on Mr. Najib.
That's been a topic of some debate on social media and amongst people planning the Bersih protests themselves. And it's really difficult to say. So we can look at the efficacy of Bersih, whether we look at it in the global Bersih protests, the solidarity protests, or in Malaysia in two ways. One would be, will this protest cause Prime Minister Najib to step down, as many of the protesters are asking, or to will it encourage a vote of no confidence in Parliament? And in that sense, a protest like this, a street protest, is a blunt tool at best. And Bersih has not had that direct an impact on political outcomes or policy outcomes thus far, the past Bersih protests. So I don't think that direct effect will happen. But if we look at the role of Bersih, its efficacy in other terms, in terms of political mobilization broadly, making people aware of what's going on, changing the purported climate of fear of whether people feel they can go out and engage in some sort of political mobilization when they feel pressed to do so, I think Bersih has a much larger impact in those sorts of longer-term ways.
And Dr. Weiss also tells us if the Bersih rallies will impact the current state of political affairs in Malaysia.
I think in some ways this does up the ante for Najib and for his, not just his colleagues within UMNO, but also his BN partners, to think about next steps, really to think about the fact that there is quite a lot of unrest within Malaysia and that something probably needs to be done to address that, right? So in that sense, I do think that this helps to make more tangible the sense of frustration. The fact that Dr. Mahathir himself stepped off into the Bersih crowd for a few minutes apparently yesterday helps to make that all the more clear, even if he himself is, of course, part of the UMNO apparatus in all sorts of very real ways, his legacy. So in that sense, possible real benefit for the what was Pakistan side is the extent to which the coordination of Bersih and the participation in it signals not just a still vibrant civil society, since this was really very much planned by activists in civil society and not in political parties, but the active participation, especially from the new Gerakan Harapan Baru, the splinter party from HAS, as well as the DAP, really signals that those two parties in particular, and Keadilan, of course, can coordinate well and do have a very active presence on the ground and in coordination with civil society. So the impact in some ways could be even stronger on the opposition side than the tangible impact on the BN side or on the government itself.